What if I told you there's a simple, free liquid that made my plants not just survive, but absolutely burst with fruit? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, stay with me, because in today's video I'll show you how to make it, how to use it safely, and the results you can expect in your own garden. This isn't complicated science. It's something anyone can do right at home. And the best part? It works for flowers, vegetables, and even fruit trees. Stick around, because by the end you'll have a practical, no-cost way to boost your harvest and breathe new life into your garden. Welcome to the Evergreen Seniors, where gardening meets wisdom, frugality, and joy. My garden didn't always look the way it does today. Honestly, it used to be a constant struggle. I spent money on fertilizers, hoping they would fix things, but instead I got weak, watery fruit and soil that seemed to stay soggy no matter what I did. I tried different brands, followed the instructions, and yet, the harvest was always disappointing. For a while, I even thought maybe gardening just wasn't for me anymore. Maybe my soil was cursed, or maybe my plants just couldn't keep up with the changing weather. But then something surprising happened. I stumbled on a free liquid, something simple, something most people overlook, and when I started using it, everything changed. My plants perked up, the soil seemed alive again, and my fruit harvests went from tiny and disappointing to baskets overflowing with vibrant, juicy produce. It was like my garden finally found its rhythm. Now let me ask you, have you ever wished you could boost your garden's fruit yield without spending a fortune on fertilizers? If that's you, I'd love for you to drop a little in the comments right now. It's a simple way to show me I'm not alone in wanting better harvests without the extra cost. What is this free liquid? So what exactly is this free liquid that turned my struggling garden into a harvest paradise? It's nothing fancy, nothing you have to buy from a store. It's a homemade liquid fertilizer, sometimes called compost tea, or even fermented plant juice. The idea is simple. You take what nature already gives us, kitchen scraps, garden clippings, or compost, and use water and time to release the nutrients into a form your plants can easily drink. Why it works? Simplified science. Plants need the same basic nutrients over and over again: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, or N, P, and K for short. These are like the three main food groups for plants. But here's the exciting part. When you make a homemade liquid like compost tea, you're not just feeding those nutrients. You're also giving your soil something even more powerful: living microorganisms. Think of them as tiny helpers that unlock nutrients, protect roots, and make your soil alive again. And here's something many gardeners don't realize. Plants can actually absorb these nutrients not just through their roots, but also through their leaves. That's called foliar feeding. A gentle spray on the leaves gives your plants a quick energy boost, while watering the soil keeps the roots nourished long-term. Together, it's like giving your plants both a good meal and a refreshing drink. Now, before you run outside and dump a bucket of this on your garden, let me give you a few safety tips. First, always dilute your liquid fertilizer. 1 part liquid to at least 5 to 10 parts water. Strong solutions can overwhelm your plants and actually burn their roots or leaves. Second, don't apply it in the heat of the day. Early morning or evening is best when the sun is gentler. And third, remember that a little goes a long way. Overfeeding can be just as harmful as underfeeding. I'll show you my step-by-step recipe next. But before we dive in, here's a quick request. If you're enjoying this so far, take a second to pause and hit that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss the details, the recipe, and the results I've been seeing. Plus, it tells me you want more simple, frugal tips like this one. Step-by-step brew process. Now that you've gathered everything, let's walk through the simple brewing process. Take it slow, enjoy the rhythm, and remember, this is nature doing the work for you. All you're doing is setting the stage. Step 1. Fill with greens. Start by filling your bucket halfway with your fresh green material, comfort leaves, weeds, or garden clippings. These are the raw ingredients that will release nutrients into the water. Step 2. Add water. Next, add water until the bucket is nearly full. Leave just a little space at the top so it doesn't overflow while fermenting. Step 3. Weigh it down. Now, weigh down the plant matter so it stays submerged. A clean rock works perfectly. Keeping the greens underwater helps them ferment evenly instead of rotting on the surface. Step 4. Cover loosely. Cover the bucket loosely with a lid or cloth. You want to keep bugs out, but let air flow in. The microbes need to breathe as they multiply. Step 5. Fermenting time. Now comes the waiting. Let the mix ferment for anywhere between 3 days and 3 weeks. The timing depends on your climate. Warmer weather speeds things up. Cooler weather slows it down. During this time, the water will gradually change from light to a dark, nutrient-rich liquid. Step 6. Stir daily. If you'd like, give the mixture a gentle stir once a day. This adds oxygen and helps the fermentation process along. But don't worry if you forget, it will still work. Step 7. Strain and collect. Finally, strain out the solids and keep the liquid. This rich, dark liquid is your homemade fertilizer, often called compost tea or plant juice. Store it in a container with a lid. And remember, always dilute before using on your plants. Now, one quick caution. If your brew smells absolutely terrible, like rotting garbage, or if it turns slimy, that's a sign something went wrong. Don't use it. Just discard it safely and start again. A healthy brew will smell earthy, like damp soil or freshly cut grass. Tell me in the comments, would you try brewing this yourself? Or does the idea seem too messy? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and your answers might encourage someone else watching to give it a try. How and when to use it? Now that your homemade fertilizer is ready, the big question is, how do you actually use it without harming your plants? The good news is, it's simple, but the details matter. Let's break it down so you can use your plant tea safely and get the most out of it. First, always dilute. A strong tea can overwhelm your plants, especially young ones. A safe guideline is 1 part fertilizer tea to 8 to 15 parts water. For tender seedlings, go on the lighter side, 1 to 15. For mature, established plants, you can use 1 to 8. When in doubt, start weaker. You can always strengthen later. There are 2 main ways to use your liquid fertilizer. 1. Soil drench. Pour the diluted tea directly around the base of your plants, letting it soak into the roots. This feeds the soil microbes and provides a steady nutrient supply. Visual, watering can pouring around tomato base. Overlay, soil drench equals root feeding. 2. Foliar spray, or you can spray it gently on the leaves. Plants can absorb nutrients through their leaves as well as their roots. This gives them a quick energy boost, especially during critical growth stages. When should you apply? Think of it as a mid-season booster. The best times are when your plants are working hardest, during flowering, when fruits first start to form, or if you notice your plants looking a little tired. A gentle feeding then can make a world of difference in fruit size and flavor. Now, a few precautions to keep in mind. Don't overdo it. More isn't always better. Too strong a dose can burn roots or stress the plant. If you're foliar spraying, avoid the heat of the day, because direct sun can scorch wet leaves. Early morning or late evening is perfect. And here's one more gardener's trick. Always test on a few plants first before treating your whole garden. If they respond well, you're safe to go bigger. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What fruit are you hoping to boost with this free fertilizer? Is it tomatoes, cucumbers, citrus, or maybe something else? Drop it in the comments, and I'll suggest the best dilution and method for your plants. Troubleshooting and safety tips. Even the best gardeners hit a bump or two, and that's okay. Let's walk through the most common hiccups you might face with this free liquid fertilizer, and how to fix them so you don't waste time or effort. Common issues and fixes. 1. Foul smell or mold growth. Cause: usually too little air circulation, too much plant material packed in, or the wrong mix. Fix: stir more often, remove excess material, and make sure your bucket isn't sealed airtight. Fermentation needs to breathe. 2. Weak results. Plants don't seem to change much. Cause: fertilizer tea was too diluted. Nutrients were low in the plant matter you used. Or water source was chlorinated, which kills microbes. Fix: use nutrient-rich greens like comfrey or nettle. Ensure your water is chlorine-free. And try a slightly stronger mix, but still safe. 3. Leaf burn, brown spots, curling, or stressed leaves. Cause: over-concentrated fertilizer or spraying in harsh sunlight. Fix: always dilute, 1 to 8, 15 ratio. Apply during cool parts of the day, and test on a few leaves before treating your whole plant. Safety reminders: always dilute before use. This is key for protecting your plants. Start small. Test on 1 or 2 plants before applying broadly. Avoid using on very young seedlings. They're too delicate and can burn easily. Wear gloves if you have sensitive skin. Fermented teas can be strong. Never rely on liquid fertilizer alone. Think of it as a booster, not a full meal. Healthy soil, compost, and organic matter are still your plant's long-term foundation. Remember, gardening isn't about perfection, it's about learning and enjoying the journey. If your first batch doesn't turn out perfect, don't be discouraged. Every gardener has a story about a brew gone wrong. What matters most is that you're feeding life back into your soil and watching your plants thrive. You've just learned how to make a simple, free, and powerful liquid fertilizer that can take your plants from struggling to thriving and even bursting with fruit. Think about that for a moment. No expensive bottles from the store, no mystery chemicals, just nature itself, transformed into a tonic your garden understands. For years, I thought gardening had to be complicated, buying special products, following confusing directions, and still being disappointed. But when I started looking at what nature was already offering, everything changed. The truth is, you don't need to spend big money. You just need a little patience, a little care, and the willingness to let nature do what it does best. If this video helped you, please hit the like button. It tells me you're finding value, and it helps this community grow. Share it with a gardening friend, because the more of us who learn simple, natural ways to grow, the stronger we all become. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors. We're growing together, no matter our age, and every season brings something new to learn and celebrate. Finally, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your results, your questions, or even just what you're planting this season. I'll be reading and responding, because this isn't just a channel, it's a community.